Good morning, Harley-Davidson fans. Uh, got a 2024 Road Glide here, and got almost 2,000 miles on it. And I kind of wanted to just put up my own video. There's a ton of these things out there, but I always kind of appreciate actual owners and their opinions, what they've done, how they feel about the bike, and that's kind of what I wanted to do here this morning. I'm in the garage. It's cooler in here and getting pretty hot outside, so I decided to come in and try to get this video done. So anyway, I guess I'll start by, let's see, in the last, man, has it been, I think it's been within the last 4 years. I mean, not, maybe 3, not very long. I've actually went through quite a few bikes. I had a 2022 Honda Africa Twin adventure bike with a DCT. Really liked that bike. That was a lot of fun. I actually wish I could just kind of go back to that bike because it was a fun bike. You can pack a ton of stuff on it. But you know, if the wife ever wants to go, she wasn't comfortable on it, and so since pretty much everything I was doing was road riding, I decided to look at something more for road. So I talked myself out of it. Then I bought another Harley. It was a 2017 Road Glide Ultra. So it had the little radiators, little radiator things sitting here on both sides, and it had a big tour pack on it. And I mean, it was a big bike. Had some engine work and stuff, and real nice. But it was real heavy, and for whatever reason, it didn't have the power. I'd ridden with some other guys that had like 114s, and man, I think my buddy's bike is a 107, and it was quicker with basically just exhaust on it. So I think part of the problem with the Ultra was it had Screaming Eagle exhaust on it, and there was no baffles in it, so there was no back pressure, and I think that probably made a pretty big dent in the horsepower because of that. But anyway, I'd kind of had my eyes set on Honda Goldwing, and so I probably didn't give that 17 enough of a chance as far as playing with it a little bit. So anyway, I had that. I got good money out of that bike, and I went ahead and bought a 23 Honda Goldwing, a full tour, tour pack and everything. And I missed that bike quite a bit too. I wish I probably wouldn't have traded, because that bike I traded for this one. The Goldwing is a very nice bike. It just doesn't have personality like a Harley, or really an Indian for that matter. But especially Harley, there's kind of a personality thing that goes with a Harley. There's a ton of accessories, things you can do. One thing I kind of like to do is I like to change exhaust and intake, and maybe do a cam, and make it more of a hot rod, kind of like an old Camaro or a Mustang. And so that appealed to me big time. And the Goldwing you can't do that. Now it seems like there's finally some tuning out that they're working on, and that the guys seem to be doing pretty good. They're pretty happy with the results. So maybe there's some stuff finally starting to come out, but even still, it does not have the customization that the Harley-Davidson has. Although even with, let's see, I've got, these are Vance and Hines 450s, and got a mess in my garage that I put on. I also put the Jackpot, I think it's Jackpot. It's a Fuel Moto catless head pipe, and then the wedge air filter, and then a Screaming Eagle tuning. So there's definitely more. If I did better tuning, there'd be I think more to get out of this bike. But anyway, it is what it is. So it's quick, but I'm pretty confident it's still not as fast as the Goldwing would have been, which was also a DCT, and I really like. I don't mind using a clutch. I mean, here's my dirt bike. You know, I've been riding dirt bikes and clutch stuff for a long time, but the Goldwing was just nice because the DCT was smooth, it was fast, shifting, and you didn't have to worry about it. If you didn't want to worry about it, you didn't have to. You could look around, you could take corners, you could do whatever, and not have to mess with shifting. And if you're in a place where there's a lot of traffic or road construction and you're using that stupid clutch a lot, man, a DCT is sure nice. And so anyway, because of that, it just went through the gears quick, and it is definitely still faster than this. But there's still a cam I can do and better tuning, and then I think that would change. But anyway, that's kind of what got me into the Harley, is just all the customization stuff you can do and the coloring. Like, this is a beautiful bike. This color, I love this color. It's my favorite color. And with the blacked out stuff, it looks good. They've got some other colors that look good. And Goldwing just doesn't have that. Again, it's no personality. Their colors are limited. They've got like, you know, this color, aluminum coloring. You know, just like these pegs and this kickstand. That's their coloring. I hate that. I hate aluminum coloring. In my opinion, it either needs to be chrome or black, and I prefer the gloss black. And there's a lot of gloss black on this bike, and it just makes it look good. And so, as far as the coloring and the pop, Goldwing doesn't have that. So anyway, that's what really got me looking at these. And then the way the bars are set up, and obviously the stock seat is right in there. So when I first sat on this new 24, I liked the seating position, and the handlebars were in a better position. It just felt more comfortable. The Goldwing was pretty comfortable, but actually not as comfortable as I would expect. I'm about 5'8.5". I got like a 30 and a half inch inseam. So fairly short, I feel. And the Goldwing, the handlebars kind of sat low and too far forward for me. Now I could have changed that, but it's not just loosen up, you loosen up these bolts on this Harley and you just twist it down or twist it up, and you can get a little bit of movement and adjustability out of that. The Goldwing doesn't have that. The Goldwing is pretty complicated, and well over $800 from the kits I saw to change that. And some guys were saying that even after they did that, it still wasn't enough. So you're somewhat limited on the handlebars. The seat I could have made better, but I was just pretty impressed when I sat on this, and the seat comfort was good. The handlebar placement was good, and it just the looks, really, the personality and everything is kind of what grabbed me on it. Now, there's a lot of stuff that I lost from the Goldwing, and at first I really didn't care, because even still, it's kind of hard for me to explain, but even still, I believe this is a funner bike to ride. I actually have more fun, for the most part, riding this bike, but this bike isn't as nice to ride. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. So at first, I was really excited about the bike. It was great. And I really didn't miss some of the things, and I'll go over those here. But after, really 1,000 miles, 1,200 miles, I started really missing some of those things. And the fun and excitement have kind of rubbed off a little bit. And I'm missing some of those other things. Now, if I'm just going to hop on the bike and go to the store, or go to eat with some buddies in town, then I prefer this. But if I get on a trip and I'm going 200, 300, 400 miles, the last trip we did was about 400 miles in that day, then I was really wishing I had the Goldwing. So anyway, this bike is pretty much stock. I guess what I've done to it, I showed you already. I've got I believe they're 450s, the Vance & Hine dual exhaust. And while I'm on that subject real quick, I like the looks of the dual exhaust, you know, that these bikes have, but if I could do it over again, I would probably go with a single, because it seems like guys are getting a little better performance out of the single. And the biggest thing is the weight. I had no idea that these pipes were that heavy. Generally, when you go with aftermarket pipes and stuff on really any kind of motorsports, it's generally lighter. And I didn't even think about that. But the Harley-Davidson exhaust is heavy, and so I added, I don't know, a good probably 25 pounds at least. And so I would have done that differently. But anyway, we got the exhaust, we got the Screaming Eagle tune, it's a little tuner thing, and it's back in on that cover there, with their stage 1 tune on it. It's got the wedge air filters I showed you with a cloth covering over it, just to help keep it a little cleaner and help keep any water out if I'm washing it, or it happens to rain, which the rain hasn't caught me in it yet, so hopefully it doesn't. But let's see, and then I guess that's it for performance. I did have the bike clear broad. Most of the bike is clear broad. You can kind of see some edges here and right there that were, you know, covering it and going over every little thing. It's tough to do, and it's easy to get those little ripples on the edges and some of them, and I didn't worry about it too much because it can just be pulled off there, but it protects it from any gravel. And I'll tell you, I rode 500 miles or something before I got the clear bra, and if you look, this bike was just cleaned, and it's already got, if the camera will show it, little chips already on it. So I was really surprised. I don't have any gravel roads. I didn't take it down any gravel roads. It just picked stuff up. It actually nicked up way easier than I thought it would. And I'm out riding, trying to be careful and get it washed up and get ready to take it in for clear bra. I'm like, man, I've already got a bunch of rock chips on it. So anyway, it happens quicker than I think we realize. So I would encourage anybody to get that done right away. But it's hard, you know, you buy this new bike and you want to ride it. So, stupid flies. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Then the pegs, and definitely these pegs I want to go over. I'm going to go over here and I'll show you what brand they were. Get back behind this Land Cruiser. This is the brand right here that, see if it has a part number. I think those ones right there. There was another guy on the forums or something that had them and liked them. So, show them to you real quick. So they're pretty good build quality, I'd say. I mean, over time, maybe the paint will fade or something. Maybe they'll fall apart, but pretty good quality. Here's the problem. At my leg length, I can't hardly reach them. Let me sit on the bike and I'll show you. So, like, that's, I mean, I really can't reach them. I could put my foot out there, but I like to kind of rest my ankle sometimes. I scoot down a little bit, kind of like that, and I can't do that. It's got grass and crap on it, damn. So anyway, they really don't reach on these. These bars stick out too far, and they kind of make that little bend forward. And so you actually want to get a peg that has some adjustment forward. They have like an extra leg on them, and they just have more adjustability. These don't. If you got long legs, then you won't have a problem. But if you have short legs, even say 31, 32 inseam, I think you're probably going to want something different. So anyway, that is that on those. Um, let's see what other stuff. Okay, well, obviously the seat. I don't think I have, the passenger seat is still wrapped up because I'll show you. The passenger, there's supposed to be some bolts that came with this seat. And this is a Bad Boys from Bad Boys Cycles. Some great people to deal with. I'm not sure yet what I think about the seat. I'm giving it some more time, but they forgot to put the bolts in there. Somehow they got misplaced or something, but they are sending me those, and so until I get, they're like a bolt that has a gap in there, and then you take the passenger seat and you slide it on, and then you bolt it down. So I didn't put that on there. The seat, initially, it's not as comfortable as the stock one, but the stock one, after about, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour, I was starting to get pretty uncomfortable on it. Even though it was soft and it feels good for the first while and to sit on, it was nice, but I guess it just doesn't have no support, and so after a while, you start to get really sore on it. This thing gets a lot longer. Actually, the 400 miles that I rode in a day, I didn't actually ever get so uncomfortable that I was hurting, and I was like, I got to get off this. I really need to get off this. I never got to that point. But the initial seat time isn't as comfortable as a stock one. But this maybe will break in. This doesn't have but 400 miles on the seat, so it might break in and be more comfortable. But anyway, so there was that. Oh, the wind. This is a Freedom Shield 11-inch. I believe it's a medium. I think they call it a medium gray or medium tan. I'm pretty sure it's a medium gray. I like it, but I would go with a 12-inch. I was concerned about the top of the windshield being in my line of sight. It drives me crazy. But I want the most protection I can get without having to have the top of this in my way. And I really don't want to look through it if I don't have to. Although I might get a windshield that requires me to do that because I want the ultimate wind protection. I wear a helmet all the time, and I like to have the shield open a little bit. And this protects me quite a bit, but I still get a little bit of, actually, it's the wind buffeting, kind of the helmet shakes that I get a little bit still with this windshield. And the 12, it would have been better, and I could have seen over it no problem. Almost a 13, but I think that would have put the top of the line kind of in my line of sight, and that would have drove me crazy. So, but you know, if any of you are about my height-ish, I would encourage you to get the 12-inch if you're going Freedom Shield. All these brands, their heights are taken differently. Like, so this one, you measure from here to here, that's 11 inches. A lot of guys, some will do measurements from the top of this vent. And I think from the top of this vent to here is like 5 1/4 or something like that. But anyway, I could have went higher, for sure, a 12-inch, and I wish I would have. But you know, I could have sent it back. I just wanted to ride. It's a hands down improvement over the dinky stock one. It doesn't do anything. That one's worthless. So this is a big improvement, and for the most part, it's good. Actually, if I was one of those guys that wore a half helmet or no helmet, this would be good. It'd be okay. But the helmet's a little taller, and it just seems to get a little bit of wind buffeting from it. The other problem, boy, this is a real problem with these bikes, and I don't hear anybody talk about this. This vent, to kind of smooth out the air that comes at you, you kind of want this vent hitting right at your helmet, or you can have it up a little bit, right? The problem is the bugs. Okay, these bugs come flying in right there. This gap is way too big, and there's no screen or anything. And so the bugs come in here, they fly in there, and they hit you in the face. So even though the windscreen is covering you mostly, I did have a few bugs hit my helmet that came over the top, which again, if I would have went with a taller windshield, that might have helped that a little bit. But I'm afraid to have my visor up much because the dang bugs, very few, but some will get over this, and for sure a lot of them come through this stupid vent and hit you in the face. So this isn't very comfortable to ride without a helmet. Guys do it, but I don't like getting hit by bugs, bees especially. The Goldwing there again was much better. I was looking through the windshield a lot of the time, but you know, it wasn't too bad. I mean, you get bugs on it, you wipe the bugs off, and then you're good to go. The Goldwing had no wind, like on your face, and it was pretty nice when that's what you want. The other thing is I could hear the radio. I could go down the freeway 80 miles an hour, and I could still hear the radio through my helmet, and clear enough to hear the beat, the tones, the words. I mean, it was good. The stereo on these suck. This is a terrible stereo. As much money as we paid for these dumb things, Harley-Davidson should have put a better sound system on these, and you're going to hear that complaint everywhere. Terrible sound quality. You can't hear nothing. The windshield does help, but still, it sucks. You can't hear it through a helmet. If you don't have a helmet, you can hear it better. But if you have a helmet and you're going much over, well, now with the windshield, I can go about 40, 50, maybe 55 area, somewhere in there, and I can hear the radio pretty decent. But anything over that, yeah, forget it. You can't hear nothing. So that sucks. The Goldwing was way better than that. So anyway, I might go to a bigger windshield if I keep this thing, where I actually look through it, because that will give me better protection against the wind and the bugs, and probably help the stereo sound better too. Because I don't know, I like the bike and I do enjoy riding it, but I don't know honestly if I like it enough to go put a ton more money into it. It's just lacking so much stuff. I'm almost better to not be cool anymore, get over the looks and the personality, and go back to the Goldwing. That has crossed my mind. Let's see. I guess I don't know where to start really. The Goldwing has a heated seat, right? Not a big deal. I didn't use it much, and I wouldn't care to lose the heated seat. But the Goldwing is there for like the same money. The Goldwing has that. The Goldwing has heated grips, no heated grips. It's got a better sound system. It's got reverse. If you get the DCT, it's got reverse. It's actually maybe the clutch version might even have that too. But anyway, you can get the reverse. You can get the DCT, which I think is really cool. The other thing is the connectivity to your phone, your headset, and stuff is more difficult and more finicky with this Harley system than it was the Goldwing. The Goldwing had two ports, so I had a charging port up here, and then back in one of the bags, I also had a charging port. What was cool is I have an old Nano 7 iPod, and I like iPods because I've got tons of music saved up over the years, and it's the music I like, and I can just set it on shuffle, and it just plays the stuff I like. So I had that hooked up in my saddlebag on the Goldwing, and I could easily change from the radio to that and play my music. Well, this doesn't recognize the iPod, and so I can't use it unless I Bluetooth it. Well, then the battery goes dead, so I have to leave it plugged in, and that's kind of an issue because sometimes I want my phone plugged in, and there isn't any other port, so I have to go to this port in here. Well, then there's no cutout, and I haven't made a decision that I want to cut a notch out of this for the cord to hang out. So I kind of just run it open with the cord hanging out for my phone. But again, I've tried, I can't get to it right now, but I've tried this little mechanism that you hook in here, and it allows you to hook up two things. but it doesn't work quite the same. It's finicky. I couldn't charge my phone and charge the iPod at the same time. It was like it always wanted to try to connect to the iPod, but it would say it wasn't recognized, and I couldn't get it to not connect to the iPod when it was hooked up. So just a real pain. The Goldwing worked much better, and if you've ever looked at Goldwing, there's a lot of buttons here and a lot of different buttons. They seem a little bit confusing at first, which I will point out they are lit up. None of these buttons, don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure none of these buttons are lit up, and so it makes it difficult to see it at night. But anyway, once you get used to all those buttons on the Goldwing, it's actually really nice. One thing that I kind of like to do is I would like to switch to my headset back to the speakers on the bike, and it was real easy. There was a button here, and you just push that button, and bam, it'd go back and forth real quick. This is a real pain to do. The other thing is I can't adjust the volume. When I go to adjust the volume, if I'm taking a phone call and I go to adjust the volume, it doesn't connect properly with my headset. It's a real pain, and it wants to adjust the radio. I've tried to change settings, and it's been a fight to try to figure out how to fix that, and so far I haven't. The system just doesn't work as good. So that's irritating. And of course the Goldwing's got a power windshield, so if you're short, you can pretty much adjust that windshield to wherever you want it. If you want a little bit of wind, you adjust it there. If you want no wind, you adjust it up. That's pretty cool. So anyway, there was just several things that are better. I mean, I don't really know what to tell a guy, but just be careful looking at these. These bikes aren't. I think some of the old ones are actually better. These do seem to ride a little better, but it's just not as. It's just missing things for the amount of money that you pay. They should have more. I guess my biggest complaints really is the infotainment center, the way it functions and works, and then the stupid vent, how the bugs come through. I mean, even that gap right there is pretty good. You can get bugs and air and stuff to come up. The turbulence that I'm getting still is not as good. The wife is definitely going to complain unless I go with like a 12-inch maybe, and I might have to get one tall enough that I see through it to keep her from getting, the helmet turbulence. So that's not real good. The stereo sucks. It's just kind of a bummer on several of these things, and guys are having a lot of issues with some of them. Some of them are great, but it seems like guys are having more problems with them than they were out of some of the older models. And so I don't know. I feel for the money they're not worth it, and if I could do it over again, I would have kept the Goldwing, and I wouldn't have bought this. I might have went with an Indian Challenger, and actually the Indian Challenger I definitely would have went with, except even probably over the Goldwing, except Polaris owns Indian now, and I do not like Polaris. I think they're the least reliable machines out there. I've had terrible luck with them, so I was afraid that Polaris's R&D and Polaris's quality control, is the words I'm looking for, was going to rub off on Indian, and in some ways they have. So Indian has these kind of plastic latch mechanisms like this, and they break all the time. Very common. I have buddies that have them, and they broke instantly. And these might at some point too, but they haven't yet on me. So there's just some dinky things like that on an Indian, and that was my biggest concern. So I didn't get the Indian, but I might consider something because the loaded up model is pretty close to the Goldwing in a lot of the functions, and so I don't know. Anyway, this is a very, very cool bike. It's fun. It's beautiful. I like the saddlebags. They're bigger, so I don't hate it, but I would just caution anybody looking, really think about what you want out of a bike, and just take your time, because I'm not sure that these are worth anywhere near what they're asking for them. So anyway, I think that's about it. I will definitely answer any questions that come down in the comments if I can. I just like to help guys make the right decision. I've made a lot of wrong decisions in buying motorsports, and definitely in the last few motorcycles, I've kind of made some mistakes. So I just like to try to help other people to not make the same mistakes I did, and hopefully what I've said here has been helpful and got my point across and hit on the things that I needed to. So anyway, we will catch you guys later.